In a small, quiet village nestled between mist-covered mountains, there was a legend passed down from generation to generation. It spoke of a figure whose return would signal the dawn of a new era. A figure who, once lost, was destined to return when the village needed him the most. This was the tale of the hero of the mountain, a man who had vanished into the mists many years ago and whose name had faded from memory. Some believed him to be a myth, a mere tale woven to comfort the villagers during times of hardship. Others held out hope, whispering that one day he would return to guide them through their darkest hour. The story of the hero of the mountain began centuries ago, with a warrior named Corin. Corin was not born into fame or nobility. He was the son of a blacksmith and a healer, raised on the edge of the village in a modest home. From an early age, he exhibited extraordinary strength and agility, skills that set him apart from his peers. He was a quick learner, his mind sharp and his heart courageous. When the village was threatened by bandits and wild beasts, Corin stepped forward, earning the respect of those around him with his fearless acts of bravery. As the years passed, Corin became more than just a protector, he became a symbol of hope. His strength was unmatched, his will unbreakable. The villagers would speak of him with reverence, telling stories of his feats under the moonlight. But Corin, always humble, never sought fame or fortune. He fought not for glory but for the well-being of his people. However, there came a day when his skills were put to the ultimate test. A dark force, unlike anything the village had ever seen, descended upon the land. It came from the mountains, a storm of shadows and terror that swallowed the valley in darkness. The earth trembled, the skies darkened, and the village was thrown into chaos. No one knew where this force had come from, nor what its intentions were, but one thing was certain: it was unstoppable. Corin, who had always been the village's protector, stepped forward once again. But this time, even his strength and skill could not match the power of the darkness. The village watched in horror as their greatest hero faced the terrifying force head-on. For days, Corin battled without rest, his every move a desperate attempt to hold back the darkness that threatened to consume everything. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the battle ended. The storm faded into the mist, and Corin was gone. Some said he had been consumed by the shadows, others believed he had ventured deep into the mountains to find a way to destroy the darkness once and for all. But no matter the tale, the people were left with only his memory and the hope that one day, he would return. Generations passed, and the village slowly rebuilt itself. The memory of Corin became a legend, and the legend became a part of the village's identity. The elders would tell the children the story of the hero of the mountain, reminding them that one day, when the time was right, he would return to protect them once more. For many, the idea of Corin's return seemed like nothing more than a comforting fairy tale. But as time went on, strange occurrences began to stir within the village. Crops grew in abundance, even during harsh winters. The weather, which had once been unpredictable and often cruel, became more gentle and kind. The villagers began to speak of the signs of the quiet whispers in the wind, the soft glow of the moonlight, and the mysterious figure seen atop the mountain during the darkest hours of the night. It was as if the village itself was waiting for something, a change in the air that spoke of an impending arrival. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a young man named Awakens stood at the edge of the village, gazing at the mountain. He had grown up on the stories of Corin, but like many others, he had doubted the truth of those tales. Yet, something within him stirred. He felt a connection to the legend, as if the winds themselves were calling him to the mountains. With a heart full of both curiosity and uncertainty, Awakens began his journey into the unknown. As he climbed higher into the mountains, the air grew colder, and the shadows grew longer. But something about the path felt familiar to him, as if he had walked it before in another time. When he reached the summit, he saw a figure standing in the mist, clad in armor that shimmered faintly under the moonlight. It was Corin. The hero of the mountain had returned. Arion approached cautiously, unsure of what to say. Corin, without a word, turned and beckoned him to follow. Together, they descended back into the village, the air heavy with anticipation. As they walked, Arion noticed that the people of the village seemed to sense his presence. Their eyes widened, their whispers growing louder, as if the return of the hero had awakened something deep within them. When they reached the village square, Corin stopped and turned to face the gathered crowd. He looked older, his face weathered by time, but his eyes burned with the same intensity as they had long ago. He spoke only a few words, but they were enough. "The darkness has not been vanquished," he said, his voice echoing in the night. "It will return, stronger than ever. But you, the people of this village, will stand together. You will be the light that drives back the shadows." With those words, the people knew that their hero had returned not as a savior, but as a guide. Corin's return was not the end of their struggles, but the beginning of a new chapter, one where they would face their fears together, united in purpose. And so, the legend was no longer just a story, it was a living, breathing reality. Corin had returned, and with him, a new hope. The villagers stood taller, their spirits lifted, knowing that no matter what darkness lay ahead, they would never face it alone again.